chosen one. What I'm about to tell you is something most people will never understand, because it was never meant for them. This is not just information you casually consume and forget. It is something else entirely, something alive, something that reaches into you and stirs what has been waiting beneath the surface. This message finds you at a very precise moment, not randomly, not accidentally, but because something inside you has already started opening. You've already felt the cracks forming in the reality around you, that quiet but persistent sense that what you've been living isn't the full truth. Around the 20th of May, something begins to shift, not in a way the world will announce, not in a way that makes headlines, but in a way that moves through your inner world like a silent storm. You will feel it in your body, in your thoughts, in the strange pull towards something you cannot yet fully explain. And the truth is, this shift is not here to make you comfortable. It is not here to give you easy answers. It is here to awaken you, to pull you out of a version of yourself that was never meant to last. Not because you are lost, but because you have been chosen for something that requires you to become more than what you were. There was a moment, maybe not a single event, but a series of them, where things began to unravel in ways you couldn't predict. People who once felt permanent started fading from your life. Situations you depended on began collapsing, and paths that once seemed certain suddenly led nowhere. It felt chaotic, even unfair at times, like something was being taken from you without explanation. But what if nothing was being taken? What if everything that fell apart was actually being removed with precision? Not because you failed, not because you made the wrong choices, but because those things could no longer exist in the reality you are moving toward. What feels like loss is often alignment in disguise. The structures that once held your identity were never meant to hold your evolution. Most people stay attached to what is familiar, even when it limits them, even when it quietly drains them. But you were never built to remain in something that contradicts your deeper truth. So life did what you could not consciously do. It created distance, it created endings, it created space, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Not because you are losing your path, but because your path is finally becoming real. Then came the silence, the kind that feels heavier than noise. The moments where you felt disconnected, where conversations lost their depth, where being around others no longer filled you the way it once did. There may have been a loneliness that settled in, not just physical, but emotional, as if you were standing slightly outside of everything, watching life instead of fully participating in it. It's easy to mistake this phase for abandonment, to believe you've somehow been cut off or left behind. But this was never abandonment, it was initiation. You were being pulled away from constant external input so something internal could finally emerge. The world is loud, filled with expectations, opinions, and distractions that shape identity without you realizing it. And for you to access what is real within you, that noise had to fade. In that quiet, uncomfortable as it may have been, something began to awaken. Your own voice, your own perception, your own truth. Most people avoid this space because it forces them to confront what they've been avoiding. But you were guided into it because there is something within you that cannot be accessed any other way. Something that only reveals itself when everything else falls silent. You've been noticing things that don't fit into your old understanding of yourself. Emotional waves that rise without clear cause, moments of intense clarity that feel almost otherworldly, followed by periods of confusion that leave you questioning everything. Your dreams may have become more vivid, more symbolic, more charged with meaning. Your intuition speaks louder now, sometimes so suddenly that it catches you off guard. It feels as if something inside you is being rewritten, like your perception is shifting in real time and you're trying to keep up with it. This is not random, and it is not something to dismiss. This is what happens when your internal frequency begins to change, when you start detaching from one layer of reality and aligning with another. Most people experience these moments and immediately suppress them, labeling them as stress or imagination because they don't fit into what they've been taught to believe. But you didn't ignore it. You felt the difference. You recognized, even if you couldn't fully explain it, that something real is happening within you. This is not confusion. It is transformation in motion. If you look back on your life, there has always been a quiet awareness that you experience the world differently. It wasn't always something you could articulate, but it was there in how deeply you felt things, in how you questioned what others accepted without hesitation, in how you noticed patterns and energies that seemed invisible to everyone else. You may have tried to ignore it, to adapt, to fit into environments that never quite felt natural. You may have convinced yourself that blending in was easier than standing apart. But no matter how much you adjusted, there was always that subtle feeling that something didn't fully align. Now, in this moment, that difference is no longer something you can hide from or explain away. It is becoming clear that you were never meant to be like everyone else, not in the sense of being separate, but in the sense of seeing beyond what is presented. You were not designed to remain comfortable inside a system that depends on unconscious participation. You were designed to notice, to question, to feel beyond the surface. And now that awareness is no longer dormant, it is active. As your awareness expands, you begin to notice structures that were always there, but never fully visible to you. Patterns in behavior, in belief systems, in the way people think and react, all shaped by something deeper than they realize. It becomes clear that much of what is accepted as reality is actually constructed, reinforced over time until it feels unquestionable. This realization can be unsettling because it changes how you see everything. Conversations that once felt normal now feel empty or repetitive. Environments that once felt comfortable now feel draining or restrictive. You begin to sense the difference between what is authentic and what has been conditioned into existence. And once that line becomes clear, it cannot be blurred again. This is not about rejecting the world. It is about seeing it clearly for the first time. It is about recognizing that much of what surrounds you operates on patterns that keep people from questioning deeper truths. And your discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that you are no longer able to participate unconsciously in something you now see through. There is a deeper movement happening, one that extends beyond your personal experience and into something much larger. Around this time, there is a shift occurring that is not bound by physical events, but by energetic alignment. It is subtle, almost imperceptible at first, but its effects are undeniable. You may feel as though your life is being reorganized from the inside out, as if invisible threads are being pulled into new positions. What once felt stable begins to feel uncertain, and what once seemed distant begins to feel closer. This is what a timeline shift feels like, not a sudden leap into a new reality, but a gradual realignment where your outer world begins to reflect an inner transformation. It often feels like endings before it feels like beginnings, like confusion before clarity, because the old structures must dissolve before the new ones can fully take shape. This is not happening to everyone in the same way, because not everyone is at the same point of readiness. But for you, this shift is personal. It is precise. It is aligning your reality with a version of yourself that has always existed beneath the surface, waiting for the moment when you were ready to meet it. This is the moment where everything becomes undeniable. Not loud, not dramatic in a way others can see, but internally undeniable in a way you can no longer ignore. The patterns, the changes, the endings, the strange clarity that cuts through your thoughts, they all converge into a single realization that something real is happening, something that requires your attention, your awareness, your honesty. This is where illusions begin to lose their grip, where pretending becomes exhausting, where going back to what once felt normal is no longer possible in the same way. It is not about fear, and it is not about certainty. It is about truth, the kind of truth that doesn't force itself on you, but waits until you are ready to face it. And now, standing in this space, you can feel it. Something within you asking not for answers, but for recognition. Not because it is new, but because it has always been there, waiting for you to finally see it clearly. What is happening now is not the beginning of something new, even though it feels that way. It is the activation of something that has always existed within you, something that was never fully expressed because the environment around you did not support it. You may notice abilities, perspectives, or sensitivities rising to the surface that feel unfamiliar yet strangely natural at the same time. This is because they are not being given to you. They are being uncovered. Layers that once kept them dormant are dissolving, and as they do, you begin to access parts of yourself that were always waiting for the right moment to emerge. It may feel overwhelming at times, as if you are adjusting to a new version of reality, but in truth, you are adjusting to your real self. Not because you have changed into something else, but because you are finally allowing what was always there to be seen. You are starting to notice that your inner voice is no longer subtle or easy to ignore. It speaks with clarity, sometimes with urgency, guiding you in ways that logic alone cannot explain. You may sense outcomes before they happen, feel the energy of a situation before it unfolds, or instinctively know when something aligns or does not. This is not coincidence, and it is not imagination. This is what happens when your awareness is no longer filtered through constant external noise. Your intuition has always been present, but now it is amplified because you are finally listening. The more you trust it, the clearer it becomes. The more you doubt it, the more distant it feels. This is the balance you are learning now. Not to rely solely on what you can see, but to trust what you can feel, even when it does not yet make sense. Because this inner guidance is not separate from you. It is you, in its most aligned and aware form. There are moments when emotions rise within you that seem disproportionate to the present situation. Feelings that carry a depth and intensity that reaches far beyond the surface. It may feel confusing, even uncomfortable, as if you are being pulled into waves you did not consciously create. But this is not random. This is release. Old patterns, suppressed experiences, and unprocessed emotions are surfacing, not to overwhelm you, but to be cleared. What you are feeling is not just about now. It is about everything that was held within you without resolution. And as these layers come forward, they ask only one thing: to be felt fully, without resistance. Most people spend their lives avoiding this process, pushing emotions down, distracting themselves from what lies beneath. But you are no longer able to do that, because what is happening within you requires honesty. It requires presence. And as you allow these emotions to move through you, something begins to shift. The weight that once felt permanent starts to dissolve, making space for something lighter, something clearer, something real. You may find yourself naturally pulling away from things that once held your attention and energy. Interests that once felt important may no longer hold the same meaning. Connections that once felt strong may now feel distant or misaligned. This is not because you are losing something valuable. It is because your frequency is changing, and not everything can adjust with you. Detachment is often misunderstood as loss, but in truth, it is refinement. It is the process of aligning your external world with your internal state. As you evolve, your environment must evolve with you, and anything that cannot match that shift begins to fall away. This does not happen all at once, nor does it happen without resistance. There may be moments where you question whether you are making the right choices, whether you are letting go too much or too soon. But this process is not forced. It unfolds naturally, guided by a deeper intelligence that understands what you need before you fully do. And as you allow this detachment to occur, you begin to notice that what remains feels more aligned, more authentic, more connected to who you truly are. As the old layers fall away, there is a space that opens within you, a space that can feel unfamiliar at first, even uncertain. Without the roles, patterns, and expectations that once defined you, you may wonder who you are becoming. But this is where the real transformation begins. This is where you start to build, not from what you were taught to be, but from what you truly are. It is a quieter process than you might expect, not defined by sudden changes, but by subtle shifts in how you think, how you feel, how you choose. You begin to act in ways that feel more aligned, even if they are different from what you would have done before. You begin to make decisions based not on external validation, but on internal clarity. And slowly, without forcing it, a new sense of identity begins to form. Not one that is imposed on you, but one that emerges naturally from within. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more fully yourself. There is a certain level of awareness and presence that comes with this transformation, and with it, a sense of power that may feel unfamiliar at first. Not power in the sense of control over others, but power in the sense of clarity, of alignment, of knowing who you are without needing constant confirmation. This kind of power can feel intimidating because it requires responsibility. It requires you to trust yourself, to stand in your truth, to make choices that align with your deeper understanding, even when they are not the easiest ones. For a long time, you may have avoided this, not consciously, but because stepping into it meant letting go of what was comfortable. But now, that avoidance is no longer possible. You can feel the shift within you, the pull towards something greater, something that asks you to step forward, not as who you were, but as who you are becoming. And while it may feel uncertain at times, there is also a quiet confidence beneath it all, a knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. When you step back and look at everything that has brought you to this moment, it begins to form a pattern, one that was not random or accidental, but intentional in ways you are only now starting to understand. The challenges, the changes, the moments of confusion and clarity, all of it has been guiding you here, not to a final destination, but to a deeper awareness of yourself and your place within this reality. What once felt like obstacles now reveal themselves as turning points. What once felt like loss now reveals itself as redirection. And what once felt like uncertainty now reveals itself as possibility. This is not something that was suddenly decided. This is something that has been unfolding all along, step by step, even when you could not see it. And now, as you stand in this awareness, there is a quiet realization that settles within you. You were never off your path. You were never behind. You were always moving exactly where you needed to go, even when it didn't make sense. And now, for the first time, you can begin to see it clearly, not as something you are searching for, but as something you have been living all along.